Call this meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next is invocation by a harvest community. Okay. Start with the roll call then.
Savers.
Here.
Goldhammer.
Here.
Dosher. McCardle.
Here.
Barrington.
Here.
Bathke.
Here.
Charks. Smith.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. We will start with council to consider action on Mayor Hansen's recommendation to appoint Shannon Sandoval to the position of Chief in Fire and EMS. So, that is my recommendation.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Anyone in the audience like to discuss this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations. Come on up here and we'll do your oath. Up here.
All the way up.
Next to the flag. Okay. So I'm going to read these. Have you done one of these?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to read it. You're going to copy me and
Perfect.
so put your hand up in the air. I, Shannon Sandoval,
I, Shannon Sandoval,
have been appointed to the office of Chief of Fire and EMS
have been appointed to the office of Chief of Fire and EMS
within and for the City of Mitchell, Davison County, South Dakota.
within and for the City of Mitchell, Davison County, South Dakota.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, and the ordinances of said City of Mitchell,
the Constitution of South Dakota, and the ordinances of said City of Mitchell.
and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability,
I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability,
perform all the duties of the office of Chief of Fire and EMS.
perform all the duties of the office of Chief of Fire and EMS.
Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Let's look right there. Oh yeah, here.
I was going to sign
You
that.
sign that.
Thank you for not giving me the boot prior to getting this done.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. Approval of consent agenda items. Items appearing on consent agenda may be removed by a city council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items. Would anyone like to remove anything?
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. McCardle,
Second.
second by Mr. Goldhammer. Further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to give their quarterly update?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Johanna and I'm joined by David Lambert and we are with the Mitchell Chamber of Development and David is with Dakota Heartland and we have a video that shares all the information that is provided in our quarterly update. If it doesn't work, it's okay.
This is the 2025 Quarter 2 report for the Mitchell Chamber, Convention and Visitors Bureau, Development, and Dakota Heartland. Starting off with the Mitchell Area Chamber of Commerce. The Mitchell Chamber welcomed 11 new members this quarter, as well as hosted 8 ribbon cuttings. The Ag Business Committee hosted the Beef on Vets Ag Connections Tour with 14 attendees, visiting Custom Genetics Solutions, Rock Creek Livestock, Central Electric, Plum Farms, and 281 Meats. For Government Affairs, Leadership Mitchell had their April Public Safety and Healthcare session, May Area Attraction
Okay,
and Tourism,
perfect.
graduation on May
Okay,
20th.
for the chamber, as I was saying in the video, we welcomed 11 new members, so we're really excited about that. We had quite a few ribbon cuttings. I believe there was 8 this last quarter, and we have tons coming up in the next quarter, so I would highly suggest looking on our event calendar and checking those out. We have 2 this week and a lunch and learn this week, so we're really excited about that. For the Ag Business Committee with the Chamber, we had a Beth on Beats Ag Connections tour. And so we had 14 attendees on that, and we visited Custom Genetic Solutions, Rock Creek Livestock, Central Electric, Clum Farms, and 281 Meats. For Government Affairs, we had 2 Leadership Mitchell sessions, one in April and May, and graduation on May 29th. Applications were available for Leadership Mitchell, but we actually filled the class. We have a waiting list, so we're excited about that. We also had a candidate and issue school, a school board forum, and a legislative luncheon. For Connect Mitchell, we had 3 First Friday coffees. The Community Concierge hosted 3 newcomer events. We also had a lunch and learn with creative advantages and a golf tournament on June 13th. That was our 22nd annual golf tournament. Moving on to the CVB, peak season tourism is happening right now, and we have marketing through Amperage. We have Google Search, Google Performance Max, social media, and Google Display. We also do our co-op with Travel South Dakota, which is we market with them through Sojourn, TripAdvisor, StoryGauge, and paid search, which is going to be Google as well. 2025 hotel occupancy and entertainment tax versus 2024 has been up, and new 2025 Mitchell Guide to Everything has been distributed, and our visitor center brochure slots have been sold, and the welcome staff started. For tourism events, we had International Roundup April 28th through May 1st, where we had attendees. We had the Southeast South Dakota Annual Meeting and Lit Swap May 1st, where we dropped off visitor guides to switch those out throughout the different visitor centers in the state. National Travel and Tourism Week was May 4th through 10. We did a social media giveaway, and thank you to Dave with the Corn Palace and the Depot for providing some giveaways for that. We also had Forever 605 Day on June 6th, where we did a social media campaign highlighting attractions. Some local marketing. We are doing advertisements with 605 Magazine through four local events May through August, Motor Magazine throughout the whole year, and we've done some television advertisements with Midco along with our general radio ads that run continuously. And then moving on to the Mitchell Area Development, the Young Professionals Group continues to meet and hosting Young Professionals Trivia Nights. So they hosted one in April, May, and June. And then in June, they introduced a social hour and a Frisbee golf event. For workforce, there have been a workforce event happening every month. So in April, they had a Jobs HQ job fair at the Corn Palace. In May, there was a statewide virtual job fair. In June, a drive-through job fair. We also launched the Mitchell Summer Internship Program, where we offered $250 scholarships to Dakota Wesleyan and Mitchell Tech students, and we received 17 applications and placed 13 students. Moving on to housing, Ridgeview on Foster, a home was placed by students from Mitchell Tech. Placed on land donated by their Queen of Peace to the Mitchell Area Development Corporation. This development is being led by Mahi Mitchell Area Housing, Inc., which plans to eventually place 60 new homes on the site. In South Lake Estates, the first 2 governor's houses were placed in the South Lake housing development this quarter. And construction continues on both of those House Lake developments, Ridgeview on Foster and the South Lake. Rehab grants are still going on, so we continue to make steady progress on our housing rehab efforts, helping low-income qualified people stay in their homes, and we've given out nearly $800,000 in grant funding through that program. And then business recruitment and intention. We are currently, the Development Corporation just closed on the industrial park on just under 20 acres of land, and this positions Mitchell for future business growth and development. The Davison Regional Rail Authority transferred $12.6 million to High Plains Processing, which is the new soybean plant, for construction of a 7-mile rail loop. This low-interest loan through the South Dakota Department of Transportation supports the soybeans plant operation needs. And then we're also working on conducting BRE visits with support through the GOED, the Governor's Office of Economic Development, Northwestern Energy, Central Electric, and the Department of Labor, and the U.S. Small Business Administration. So these are basically visits that we do in partnership with these organizations, where we go out and visit members of the Chamber and MADC to check in on how they're doing. Some community development and miscellaneous. Both Kimberly Lofgren and myself have completed leadership training. Kimberly completed the Leadership South Dakota 6-month program, and Johanna, myself, completed the Dakota Wesleyan University Leadership Accelerator Spring 2025 program. The Q3 economic report was also published this quarter in partnership with the South Dakota Secretary of State's office and Dakota Wesleyan University's economic class. And this report provides a detailed snapshot of local business trends and development activity. The MADC also hosted Mike Bockery, CEO of the Economic Development Professionals Association, who shared insights on the 2025 legislative session and a board looking on the 2025 legislative session. And Mitchell was a finalist in the site selection process for a new South Dakota State prison. The MADC hosted 2 public forums, participated in a university debate, and advocated strongly for our community. However, the selection committee ultimately chose another location during their July 8th hearing. All right, and I will let David give the presentation on Dakota Heartland.
I think you need to give Johanna a round of applause. That's a lot to say in a couple of minutes. Yeah. Take one and pass it on, please. To be honest with you, if you've had a chance to review our second quarter report, primarily the focus on my report has really been on 2 communities, Corsica and Parkston. And it's primarily surrounding the business parks that they've chosen to develop in their communities. Obviously, 24 acres in Corsica, 40 acres in Parkston. Both of them have activity as we speak. Basin Woodworking is the first one to go into the Corsica plant. And so, to be quite honest with you, we're excited about that. The handout that I shared with you, obviously, is we were blessed, and it didn't show up in the report, obviously, but we were blessed to have the governor at the end of July come at a ribbon cutting in Corsica for our project. And then, obviously, we took him to several of our businesses in the community that are poised to grow, and obviously made their pitch as to how the state could help them with continued funding from the Ready Loan Fund and other programs. So we're excited about that. In addition, Parkston, on the heels of the work that Kaler Agri Services is doing, obviously has been focused on obviously growing on the south side of Parkston. First time in many years that they've had a business park. And of course, that kind of investment that Kaler Agri Services is investing, which is multiple millions of dollars in agri services, including a soybean roasting facility, is something that obviously one cannot overlook. But we do have others that have expressed interest. In the area of housing, to be quite honest with you, both communities of Corsica, Armour, and Parkston have continued to move forward to develop what they've got in the way of housing. The handout that I shared with you shows one of the projects that Jeremy Jensen decided to do, a spec home, kind of based on the old FHA home model, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's smaller footprint, but to be honest with you, price point a little bit lower, and allows for full basement and 2-car garage. And quite frankly, having that kind of investment in small communities is a blessing. Questions?
Thank you.
Are there any questions for me?
Not for me.
Sorry, I forgot to ask. Good?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience like to address anything on the consent agenda before we move on? Okay, roll call.
McCardle.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Bathke.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Savers.
Aye.
Goldammer.
Aye.
Motion carries. Citizens input. If you need to address the mayor and members of city council on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Stuart Hansen. I'd like to address a couple of incorrect statements that were made at the last council meeting during citizens input. First, when talking about Arts of the Park, someone said that none of the council members were there. Actually, there were 2 council members there, Mr. Bathke and Mr. Goldhammer. In fact, Mr. Goldhammer generously volunteered his time to help out. And if I'm not mistaken, he also volunteered his time last year. And for those of you that weren't there, well, as someone once said, you really missed the boat. Another thing stated during citizens' input was that Mr. Bathke and myself said that the mayor was the CEO of Mitchell. Now, I have no idea whether he is or is not, but I want you to know is I have never said that the mayor was the CEO of Mitchell. I'm not sure why this person said this, but, oh wait, yeah, I guess I do. Anyway, I just wanted to set the record straight on that. And since this subject has been brought up a few times, and for the purpose of transparency, maybe Stephanie or the city attorney could let the citizens know if the mayor is or is not the CEO, because that would clear up a lot of misinformation going around. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council?
I just wanted to congratulate, I think, the promotion and marketing that the Corn Palace is doing, both in conjunction with Mayor Hansen and Dave, recently hiding golden cobs around the city. I think it's a really fun way to let people know about the upcoming concerts and Corn Palace Festival. If you haven't bought your tickets already, you're going to miss 3 great shows. I'll be at all 3. You can come hang out and see me if there's no other reason to go. That's a pretty good one in of itself. Otherwise, hopefully you come down to the Corn Palace Festival and enjoy some really good concerts and mini corn dogs, whatever your fancy. So.
Would anyone else like to address the council?
I just wanted to have Joe give a quick update on First and Sanborn intersection with that light that's screwed up the way it is, because it takes forever to get through there.
Yep. Roughly 2 weeks ago, that traffic light was struck by lightning. Josh Harvey and his crew have been working hard to try and keep it running while we have insurance coming and looking at what we need to do to get it replaced and up and working like it was prior to being struck by lightning. So just want to give everyone an update.
Okay, anyone else? Go ahead.
Mayor, Council, my name is Joe Kroll. Just wanted to get you updated on our 31st annual Tour de Corn that we completed this past weekend. We had 320 registered participants from 13 different states. Had a gentleman professor from Purdue University that came and rode. A gentleman that flew his bike in from Florida. He wants to do a 100-miler in every state. They had a great time. Johanna from the chamber went down there and got us nice packets for everybody from out of state to showcase Mitchell. So prior to that event, went out and was checking routes this last week. And part of our route ends up around the west end of the lake, goes up by the airport road, comes over by the soccer complex, and we end up at the day camp. And the roads were chip sealed and still a lot of gravel on the sides, and was concerned about some of our riders not wanting anybody to get hurt. So I had called Terry Johnson. I said, Terry, is there any way to do anything? There were some potholes on some corners. And he said, yeah, Joe, I know. I said, can we get a sweeper or whatever? And he goes, let me see what I can do. So 2 days later, everything was completely cleared. Potholes were full. And this beautiful, nice tar oil making everything safe. And I called him and I said, man, Terry, I said, thank you so much. And he's, instead of him saying, yeah, it was a lot of work, Joe, or had to get extra guys, he just said, I appreciate that. He said, but that's just what we do. So really appreciate that for all of our riders. And my next call was to the chief of police, because our route changed this year because of all of the construction. Usually we go out on Main and then head off on Cemetery Road. Couldn't do that. And so we needed to cross Sanborn and then the bypass. And sometimes the chief and I don't see eye to eye. He's a Bears fan, and I'm like, this guy's not going to do me any favors. But sure enough, he sent Officer Wilson there that morning for us to lead us out, block traffic. And I said, officer, I said, thank you. I said, when are you done for the day? And he said, well, I'm not even on today. He said, I just came in for this. And I said, well, wow. I said, thank you. I said, what are you going to do the rest of the day? And he said, well, I'm going to go help move mats at the high school. So, I know sometimes we don't all see the eye around here, but your department heads this weekend really did a great job showcasing what we can do for Mitchell. So thank you.
Thank you, department heads, and everyone else that works for the city.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Yeah.
I can't believe someone flew a bike on an airplane. I don't even bring a laptop. Okay. Anyone else like to address the council?
Mike Valley, Vice Chair of the Friends of the Fire Steel, and Joe is a former past president, and we just thought we'd give you a little update. There's been some questions we recently sent out a letter that went out to all the people on the lake, across from the lake, and in the canal area. And we're obviously raising money, as we said we would try and do way back. Golly bum, that's probably been in about 2019, 2020. We've had a lot of things that have happened in between, and it has stymied us in our ability to talk to the microphone. There's people that probably want to hear you. I'm sorry. And I'm the one back there that forgot my hearing aids and was going like this. So we will, I should learn from myself. So that is where we're at right now. We have raised to this time, as I just checked about a half hour ago, 1.733 million towards our, we said we would try and raise 3. And we are now, we've gone through, as most of you know that have been involved in raising funds, before you go public, you try and have about a half, if you can, to because everyone wants to be with the winner. I don't care who you are, or you're playing sports, whatever. Everybody wants to be with the winner. If they see you've got half of it already raised, well, yeah, maybe I'll participate in that. And so that's where we're at now. We were at about 1.6 when we sent out the letter. We're at 1.73 now, and we've got a lot of people that we're talking to that are on the edge of doing something. We just don't know what it is. And so, and then we get a commitment from them, just like we had talked before. It's over 5 years, and we will, when their pledges come in, and we won't start that their first part of their pledges due until after the bids have been approved by you, the council. Then people know that it's going to happen. So at the end of that year is when their first tranche of the 5 year it takes place. And so we've got, like I said, 1.733 on that. And we've even had the, just to give you an idea, the South Dakota, or not South Dakota, the Mitchell Area Charitable Foundation has given $50,000, and the Weller Fund has pledged $100,000 plus another 150 match. So a total of 250,000. So we've got a lot of people, and we've got several people, some families that have given in the 6-figure range, and we've got several of our board members that have done some like that. So we're moving ahead, and we wanted to get to that 1.5 million first before we went public, and that's what we're doing now. And that's why you're seeing this letter that went out to the people on the lake or across from the lake or in the canal.
Sorry to cut you off, Mike, but that's your 3 minutes. Unless Joe wants to go now and finish up.
I do. My name is Joe Kippis. I shouldn't take 3 minutes. I just wanted to talk about our strategy a little bit, just to clear up what we're doing. We've been approaching people that are close to our board, or some people that we felt pretty confident in on getting donations, and now we've branched that out. And so now what we're doing is we're doing a fairly intense focus on the people who live on the lake, and then right as that concludes, we'll go to the people who live right across from the lake, and then we will spread out that way. But I think one of the messages that we heard through our campaign efforts and the work we've done is that there is a lot of interest on what are the people on the lake doing, and so that's what we're doing also, and we're getting a great response as far as I'm concerned. A large portion of that 1.73 million is coming from that group. So I think just to keep people up to date, that's been our strategy at this point, and eventually we will go, citywide with it. But for right now, that's where we're at. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to address the council?
And we'll be by the door in the back here if anyone wants to.
Yes. All right. There's nothing else. I'll just say a few things. The day of caring this year was really cool. It's really awesome to see that happen every year. So thanks to United Way and everyone that from the city that joined up and did all that. And then the inside out, if you guys haven't heard, they're plastering the outside of the Corn Palace with photos of the front's going to be all local farmers just to celebrate agriculture and how important it is for, well, everyone, because we all have to eat to stay alive, but also South Dakota. So it's going to be a really cool project. It'll last about 10 years before we take it off. So it'll look cool. Okay. And if there's nothing else, we will move on.
Are they going to be up for Corn Palace Week?
They will, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they're gonna be out at Dakota Fest and they're taking photos and it's gonna be all local people. And then if you take your picture at Dakota Fest, they'll put it on the front, farmer stuff, and then they're actually gonna bring the vehicle on the side, and then you'll be able to anyone will be able to just go in this. They'll take a picture, they'll print it out, and they're 3 foot by 4.5 foot pictures. And then so you can have your kids and your family or whatever else. And then we're gonna try to get 2 very special farmers to our town at like a big reveal at 5 o'clock on Thursday. And then there's going to be some speeches, and Dusty Johnson will be there to give a speech on how cool agriculture is, so it'll be a big deal. It'll be fun. Be a very interesting art project, one of the largest in South Dakota's history, so it'll be fun. Okay. Next, Board of Adjustment. Entertain a motion for the City Council to recess and sit as the Board of Adjustment.
So moved.
Mr. Goldhammer, second by Mr. Bethke. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Hearing an action on application of Amanda Nava conditional use permit. Amanda Nava has applied for a conditional use permit for a family residential daycare located at 516 West 10th Avenue, legally described as shown on the agenda. Mr. Jenigas.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this unanimous with the 3 normal conditions of license non-transferable, business ceases to operate for 6 months, new application will be required, and pass a fire inspection. There were 5 letters that were returned in favor. She has passed a fire inspection already. She had a previous daycare. She ceased for about 2 years and started it back up again. So now she's going through the conditional use process again. We did not have any concerns when she was running the daycare previously. I can answer any questions that you may have.
Motion approved.
Mr. Sabers, second by Mr. Goldhammer. Further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to discuss this? Yeah, go ahead. Applicant would like to come to the podium.
So I have.
Can you state your name for everyone else?
I'm sorry, I'm Amanda Nava. I'm the one asking for the approval. I have a neighbor who likes to block my approach from my driveway, and it makes it hard for my families for pickup. Is there any way I can get the yellow lines painted on my approach to make it a little easier for my families?
I don't think so, but we'd have to. Joe would be the one that can answer those questions, or maybe Dean. Everyone's looking around over there, but that wouldn't happen tonight. But we can.
Yeah, that's okay. I can come back. I can do whatever it takes to see if that can happen. It's just been kind of a pain in the bottom.
So, Chief Mifflin, Police Department. My advice to you would be is if they're blocking the driveway, that is illegal. You could call in and we could have an officer swing by.
Okay. And that can happen at any time. It doesn't have to be for during pickup. It can.
Correct.
Okay.
You're not legally allowed to block a driveway. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Yep.
Awesome sauce.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience like to discuss this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to set the date for Board of Adjustment hearing 9/2/25. Marcy Stoltz has applied for conditional use permit. Oh, I guess it's just set the date. So,
Move to set the date.
Mr. Goldhammer, second by Mr. Hurdle. Further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to discuss this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Reconvene as City Council. Entertain a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn and the City Council to reconvene in regular session.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer.
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Sorry. Motion carries. I'm gonna give it a little second. Remind me of that. Hearing an action on the following alcohol license application. Jeff and Denise Del Favreau, doing business as Bread and Vine Bistro LLC, 312 North Main Street, for a new retail on-off wine and cider license. Video lottery is not included. Chief Knipling.
Mayor, I just wanted to say, I think Mr. Barrington is going to sign off of the call now, just so everyone knows.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. No, just yeah, just a conditional piece. Okay, thanks, Marty.
Mayor, Mr. Council, staff has reviewed this and has no concerns. Recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. I think we have to do these individually. We do these individually, right? I'm pretty sure.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Hurdle, second by Mr. Sabers. Further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to discuss this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Jeff and Denise Del Favreau, doing business as Bread and Vine Bistro LLC, 312 North Main Street, for a new retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license. Video lottery is not included. Chief Knipling.
Staff has reviewed this and also recommends approval.
Thank you.
Who to approve?
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer. Second by Mr. Bathke. Further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to discuss this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Hearing an action on a proposed assessment roll for Fiala Road street improvements and action to approve Resolution R 2025-57. Mr. Schrader.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, Council. The assessment is split into 4 segments: curb and gutter, asphalt surfacing, concrete approaches, and sidewalk. If approved, property owners will have 20 days after the hearing to put together a petition against the resolution. If 55% of the property owners, based on cost, petition against the resolution, then the project would not be completed. However, there is an option in state law for council to override that 55%. If approved, work would be completed in 2025, with the owners receiving the final actual total cost after the work is complete. The collection hearing will take place in 2026. Property owners will have 30 days after the collection hearing to pay it interest-free. After that time, it will be sent to the county to be added to their property tax special assessment with 8% interest for a 10-year payment plan. I've had conversations with both property owners. At this time, they would like to complete the concrete approaches and sidewalk on their own. We have also discussed proposed cost estimates and what final amounts may look like. With that, we will open the public hearing and allow the individuals to speak if they'd like.
Okay, Nick Rockwell here. Bob Porter. Just really simply, we got a letter last week stating the cost for all of this construction, and the first thought I had was to call my neighbor Bob Porter. So I called Bob and I said, hey, these prices look a little too high. So instead of panicking and saying, we were 100% not going to do this at first, but after talking with Joe and Mayor Hansen and and going through things line by line, we have decided with the revised cost, we feel that we will be going through with the curb and gutter and the asphalting of the road. However, the sidewalk dilemma out by North Harmon is very controversial. And right now, we don't feel like the sidewalks are necessary until we come to a more better resolution for the whole neighborhood. So right now we agree with the revised cost of the curb and gutter, the asphalting of the street, but we want to bump the sidewalk down the road. That is what we are proposing. Anything else?
You said it right. Yep.
Okay.
Justin, if we do that, somebody builds a new house and we got ordinances that they have to put sidewalk in. I'm sure there's open lots there, correct?
Here's
It's
the
kind
map.
of an interesting neighborhood because you got residential, you got acreages, and then you got
Right.
the housing district my parents live in to the north of us. So,
Well, the question is, if somebody buys a lot and builds a house, are they required to put a sidewalk on 2 years from now?
Well, generally that's the case, but I do believe that the ordinance does give council the ability to waive that requirement. So essentially, that's what the council would be doing in these cases until such time as the council decides they want sidewalk to go.
And this ordinance came in the 80s, is that correct? It just hasn't been enforced?
That I don't.
80s, 90s?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't tell.
I believe
you.
90s.
90s. So if we're making other people put in sidewalk, do we have to look at each case individually? I'm okay with this, but I just got to make sure. It needs a road, it looks like. And if it, comparing it to other prices, and we start enforcing it next year on the other houses that built that don't have sidewalk, are we going to get ourselves in trouble?
I don't think so. Each situation is going to be unique. Obviously, this one, not every home out there has had sidewalk up to this point. Some of those are older homes. Some of those are newer homes. So I don't think there's any particular precedent that's established one way or the other. It's just a matter of when the council wants to require it to be in place. The ordinance itself says that should go in at the time of construction, but it does allow that flexibility for some of these situations where there are unique circumstances. Maybe there's not sidewalk in the area in general, and it all gets put in at a later date. So it's a council decision on when it goes in.
I think that, Joe, we have just a small clerical error. Yeah, you have 626 feet, but I think it should be 652 feet. Correct?
Let me take a look.
Oh, yeah. Just a small clerical error. And then, so by taking the sidewalk off, we took the 59 ton of gravel cushion off. That was for the sidewalk?
Correct.
Okay. So we're not so we're not building an inferior road that we're going to inherit. On the same thing that Mr. Sabers is saying, is Mahi is making elderly woman put a sidewalk in on her property with their new housing development. How do we treat her then?
So it's my understanding that situation is Mahi has elected to install that sidewalk free of cost to her with their project.
But she doesn't want it because then she has to scoop it and she's single.
So I've been present at a few of those conversations. The way that they've approached it to her, my understanding is that Mahi would like to pay it for her so that way the city doesn't come in the future and assess her. Is how they're proposing it. City doesn't have, we're not pushing one way or the other, whether that individual should put sidewalk in, because right now the city is not requiring Mahi to do it, nor requiring her to do it. However, if for that individual, if Mahi does pay for that individual, then she would not have to in the future if council elected to finish the sidewalk at that location.
So, Joe, you had stated that they were going to handle it, the sidewalk themselves, and then you guys are saying you're not going to do it at this time.
Not until it makes sense with the rest of the neighborhood, being that if Bob had a sidewalk, it would be leading to nowhere to the north and nowhere to the south.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the area. So what if we were end up putting the bike path out there, and that's the way that we're going to get out to the bike path on National Guard Road? Would you guys be willing to put it in then?
If it makes sense, yes.
Okay. Then I'm okay with it.
So I agree with these guys, because you go out there and it's helter skelter with sidewalks out there. There's nothing consistent, and I can see where they're coming from on that point, that they should probably, until they come up with a plan to have everybody connect them together. There's no sense of having one here, gap here, and then another one there. So I kind of agree with you guys. I see no problem with it.
This area has come up in our previous sidewalk conversations. It is an item that's identified for to finish the sections of Fiala that have curb and gutter as part of an assessment, whether that's next year or the year after. That'd be a council decision. If you wanted to, it could be incorporated with that assessment.
So, Joe, you're only paving the 326 feet then? You're still going to be some gravel there? Or is that?
Yeah. Correct. So north of the black line where Stephanie's mouse is would remain gravel because the property to the east is still in the county.
So very rarely have we ever given these type, but I can see situations like this where it does come up. One of them I do remember, Joe, and I don't know if you were even involved, but over at Sinclair on North Main, we put in curb and gutter, and there's a little loop that goes around, and they came in and says, until we get connections, would it make sense? And the council did allow it at that time. But did we specifically state that into... So because I don't remember it coming back to council that at that point in time that it was being developed, then they put it in. So did we put that in as a contingency or a process or a plan to follow? Don't remember.
I think I was just coming on board when we were installing that sidewalk, so I don't recall.
Okay. So, and that's the thing I'm looking at here is I would like to incorporate that if the sidewalk plan goes in, then they'll be part of it. Or if there's curb and gutter that goes to the north, that would be at that point in time a necessity to put sidewalk in. Does that make sense, guys?
With the understanding it's probably going to go up in price.
I'm sure they know that.
And of course, they would always have the opportunity to do that on their own before it got to an assessment program too, right?
Oh yes, we will hire a private contractor. I called my concrete guy, and it was substantially different. So yes, for sure, yes.
But your first request though is to delay it at this point.
Delay
you're
it
not
at this
saying
point,
you're not
yes.
putting it in.
We're kind of compromising with the city. We're doing the curb and gutter. We're getting the asphalt in. We just don't think the sidewalks make sense right now. So
we know we're going to do sidewalks down the line when it makes
eventually.
more sense.
Yeah, Joe, does that, or Justin, does that make any sense at all what I'm proposing, or is that just off the wall?
I mean, I think that you'd want to have something more specific as that trigger for when it would come back, and without having the plan developed or anything like that, I'm not sure now would be the time to put that condition in place. But it's up to council as part of approving this resolution. So.
Right, because you north of you, eventually that's going to develop at some point. Who knows? It's going to be in our lifetime or whoever. But you can see then that all of a sudden that goes in, and they're saying, well, why put sidewalk in? And then we.
But I think at that time the council could just say, you have to put sidewalk in, right?
And that's where I'm thinking is if we can have something already in place,
where it's like, if this happens, this triggers it, and then you have to put sidewalk.
Correct. And a future council can always reverse.
Right.
Always. But the point is once we give it to you, we're gonna be lined up to the door.
I think it's a good compromise, and I think it makes sense. We had this conversation when we talked. It's like sometimes it's like we get nothing because we want it perfect in the long run. But will this affect anything, Joe, in the long run? Because I remember we talked about heights of the road, but if they could put the curb and gutter in, it's still okay, right?
The curb and gutter is the important piece because that's what sets the grade of the road. Yep.
So, Joe, as far as if we put this in, and say somebody bought that north of Mr. Porter, where are the utilities? Would we be tearing it back at all?
No, the utilities are in the center of the road, and like north of
the asphalt to be in the center too. I'm sure.
Right, but we're not paving. We're not paving that section.
You mean the gravel section north of there?
Correct.
Oh, I see. But I'm saying is the utilities be under the asphalt that we are paving, so we'd have to tear the asphalt back out to bring the utilities up to it, or we bring it from the north?
No, there's already utilities in that gravel road.
Okay.
All the way.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. All the way.
Water and sewer's there.
All right.
Now we might have to rip it out to put in a service line.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's a good compromise. And this is the reason you guys annexed in, right? This is part of the reason? No, I mean, never mind then.
Okay.
Well, all right. What do you guys think?
I'll make a motion to approve it with the amended assessments.
So you're making a motion to approve everything but the sidewalk, like what they're proposing based on this sheet. What? Okay.
So my recommendation would be is to remove the sidewalk line item and then leave the resolution as proposed the way it is.
Okay. Okay. So your motion is to do what Joe stated.
Approve it without the sidewalk line item. And the gravel ditch.
I will second that, but I'm wondering if it would be possible to put into the minutes some language, at least that in the future they'll be obligated to put in. Is that something, Justin, we can incorporate, at least have in the minutes?
Yep. If
You
you've
guys
got
okay with that?
if you've got a certain event, we could have that reflected in there. Whatever
could
you
maybe
want
come up
to,
with the language with the minutes. So
whatever you want the triggering event to be is when, we can put that in there, whatever you want the triggering.
at least
event
we
to
have
be.
something in writing then. Because and you understand, we're going to have a lot of people coming up and ask for deferrals and delays and.
What would the triggering event? I'm thinking is what he's looking for now. Just sidewalk to the north.
The sidewalk committee comes up to where that is, or it's developed to the north of them and it's curb and gutter. And at that point in time, curb and gutter requires sidewalk.
Okay. That looks agreeable to these guys and sounds agreeable to everyone else. Okay. So we have a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion for these fellows? Okay. Anyone in the audience like to discuss this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion? Oh, yeah, let's do a roll call. Marty's gone.
He's gone.
He dropped off. Oh, let's do a roll call. We've already initiated it.
Bathke. Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldammer.
Aye.
McCardle.
Okay, motion carries. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Action to award bid for Cadwell Baseball Field Rebid Project 2025-23R. Mr. Schrader.
Mr. Mayor, Council, so I had originally had a error in the budget line item for this account. So I'm going to pull up my...
That's what the sheet is that has been laid on our desk. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, yes. Okay, here we go. Bids were open on August 12th in City Hall Council Chambers at 1:30. 2 bids were received, with the low bid being from LT Companies out of T for $323,699. The bid tabulation is attached for your information. Jacob Sonny, a professional engineer with SP & Associates, has reviewed the bid and applicable documents and recommends awarding the bid to LT Companies at the contract bid amount. Right now, the way the current budget is, we previously designated $29,500 towards the Cadwell Dugout Improvement Project. With the increased cost from the second bid, this project budget puts us at a roughly $9,000 deficit. So we're requesting $25,000 from contingency to fund the project. So with that, staff does recommend awarding the bid to LT Companies, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Joe, what is the explanation of clearing and grubbing?
It's just your miscellaneous, removing material. They got to get storm sewer to a site to the north. There'd be any removals that you would have as part of that.
Okay.
Before there's any motion, I know Jim's got something to say, so let's instead of do it, let's let Jim Johnson speak.
I think, should we do a motion in a second first to open it up for audience stuff, or? Okay, you can come on up. Sorry to make you sit back down again. Just trying to do protocol.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Jim Johnson. I'm the liaison from the Mitchell Baseball Association to the city. for the renovation of the infield project at Cadwell Park. I've been involved with Cadwell Park for 50 years. It's going to age me, I know. I can remember in 1972 when I joined amateur baseball players from the Moonlight Bar and Commercial Bank teams to help the city cut sod at Cadwell Park to form the infield portion of the baseball diamond. We rolled the sod and put it on a flatbed and then laid the sod at the new swimming pool at Hitchcock Park for the city at that time. I've been involved with several projects at Cadwell Park over the years, and I know I can be a basic pain in the butt during many of those projects. I should say during most of those projects. But I don't apologize for that because when it comes to Cadwell Park, I care deeply and I do my homework. I originally came here tonight to voice my opposition to LT Company from T being awarded the bid based on being the lowest bidder. I based that opposition on their lack of qualifications to do the entire infield project at Cadwell Park, because when they listed the projects they had done, there wasn't one mention of renovating an entire baseball infield, and that concerned me. I don't understand how you can award somebody $300,000 to build a baseball park at Cadwell Park when they've never built a baseball infield. I don't understand that. 4 weeks ago, you delayed the awarding of the bid, and I'm glad that we did that. Because had you awarded that at the time, LT Company would have installed Dura Edge, which is a baseball infield mix, not being qualified to do it, and Dura Edge would have not backed the product. So had we approved that 4 weeks ago and went ahead with it, had anything gone wrong with the Dura Edge, in other words, not performing as it should, the city of Mitchell would have been stuck with the bill. So I'm glad we delayed the process. You've probably heard a lot about Dura Edge during the delays of this project, and I'm not going to bore you with too many of the details. But when it comes to baseball infields, dirt ain't just dirt anymore. We have what's called AgriLime at Cadwell Park. It's droppings from limestone. It's a wonderful thing for baseball fields. It's cheap, easy to maintain, and absorbs water. It's terrible though when it gets dusty and dry out. And so Dura Edge was an important part of this project. We talked to I'm not sure who talked. I don't know if Joe talked to LT or who it was. That were they qualified to do the Dura Edge project? And they said they would be by September. Well, that's not true. I called Dura Edge. I said, will they be approved to do it so you can warranty it? No, you just can't do a couple fields and get approved to do it. You have to do a lot of fields. So had we awarded this the second time, we would have had the same problem if they had done the Dura Edge themselves. Just to give you an idea of what Dura Edge does, it comes in 3 different brands. Like AgriLime has 0 clay, so you can't pound sand, you can't pound dust. What Dura Edge has is different blends of clay in the product. So went to Larry DeVito, the Minnesota Twins groundkeeper. He allowed us on the field 3 or 4 times and said, you can feel the difference at shortstop. He said, go, yeah, we want this field. He goes, well, you can't have it. Because you have to water it 4 or 5 times every day. And who do you have to water it? Because if you don't, then the clay gets hard. The clay gets hard, and you're not able to use it because it could play like concrete. So there's another blend that's 18% clay and another blend that's 16% clay. We're doing a blend of AgriLime along with Dura Edge. So the only reason I explained a little bit about Dura Edge is it became a topic of conversation because then LT came and said, well, we're going to call Dura Edge, and Dura Edge will come here and do it. They'll come here and do it themselves, and they will warranty it. And Dura Edge did agree to do that. Okay. And so once I heard that was more comforting. At least we gained something. We're going to have the Dura Edge to be warranted. Then last, was it, Joe, Thursday or Friday, we had a Zoom call. Is that what we had? We had a Zoom call with Joe and Mr. Nielsen and who else was on? I don't remember. Is that it?
It was Jacob Sonny with SPN, and there were two representatives from Dura Edge and myself,
Right.
and you on the call.
Yeah, a gentleman by the name of Cameron from Dura Edge, and the owner of Dura Edge, a guy by the name of Grant McKnight. And I thought it was just going to be a conference call, and you were invited on it too, Mr. Sabers, correct? I thought it was just going to be a conference call, but then when I saw on the computer you had to do something to get on, and I knew I was in trouble. So I wasn't able to be. Did you have the same problem? Yeah, you did have the same problem. Yeah, okay. So I knew right away. But I was able to hear what they said, and wasn't able to reply, and that was difficult for me to do. But very comforted by the fact that Mr. McKnight, the president of the company, Dura Edge sells to every Major League Baseball team except two. It's a big-time company. The fact that he would be there and guarantee he himself would be in Mitchell was very reassuring. And then I even became more reassured because after the meeting was over, he realized I wasn't able to be on the meeting. He called me 5 minutes later, and we talked on the phone for about an hour and a half. And during that conversation, he brought up the fact that, we're going to do this, you're going to do this. He said, my whole thing is, he said, even though we're a big-time company, I take special interest in going to a town the size of Mitchell, South Dakota. He asked me a lot of questions about Cadwell Park, how many state tournaments you guys have had. Cadwell Park is a special place. He said, I love coming to communities to do projects like that. Said, I tell you what I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to call Mr. Brown, who is I believe the owner of LT Company, and propose an opportunity that Dura Edge do the entire project as a subcontractor. In other words, and Mr. Johnson would have to explain how that works because I don't understand that. But he said, I talked to LT and I could tell that they weren't totally comfortable on the entire thing. He said, we would come there and we would do everything that's inside the fences, inside the infield fences, the entire Dura Edge applying, the sodding, the sand-based infield, the irrigation, the everything. He said, I'm going to crunch some numbers and see if we can do this. So there's something for us and there's some meat on the bone for LT Company. Called me at 9 o'clock this morning and told me that, and he said, I will call you back around 4 o'clock. Well, he called me back at about 4:30 today. And he said, I talked to Mr. Brown at LT, and he is very interested in doing that. He was especially interested in the fact that Dura Edge said that they could do the project in 10 or 12 days. That he has a job in Korea, but after that, the 1st of September, after that, they would schedule a time to come to Cadwell Park. And we all worried about not having the project done in time. In other words, we wanted grass growing in September so it went into the fall and could grow, and we'd be ready to go next spring. So the fact that he's saying this is a 10 or 12 day project was very comforting. And he said, we will supply the Dura Edge. LT Company will have all the other product supplied. And he said, and the other thing I told LT is I said, if you really want to learn how to do baseball in field, I'm going to have a 4-man crew there to do it. But your employees can be there and you can see the work we do, and we'd all become winners on the project. So I find that to be very exciting news. Like I said, I was here to hope you would deny the awarding of the bid. We had a Mitchell baseball meeting about this last night, and everybody agreed with that on behalf of Mitchell baseball, we were going to ask that you not award the bid to LT Company. But after what we found out today, Mitchell baseball totally endorses the program, and so we feel very comfortable about that. I didn't get this phone call about 4:30, so I wasn't able to prepare a full speech. So I'm kind of shooting from the hip here a little bit, but I hope you're comfortable about that. Are you, as a council, comfortable about that, Mr. Johnson? I'm not going to sit up here and say I understand how somebody can get the bid and then be a subcontractor and how the whole thing works. I'm not. And when I talked to Mr. McKnight 2 hours ago, he said, I just want, the LT and the city, if they can work. He said, first of all, LT is on board to doing this. That's as much as I know. So I guess I want to make sure, and I hope that you would, if you award the bid, would award it under a stipulation that that Dura Edge become a subcontractor. I don't know if you can do that or not. I got 2 hours to work on this, so I don't have any idea. So if anybody from the city has questions or comments about that, I thought Mr. Brown from Dura Edge might be here tonight because he had indicated the possibility he could come, but he's not. I don't believe he's here. I've never met the gentleman, so.
Is that possible?
Long story short, no, we wouldn't be able to require a specific subcontractor like that because there's potential that they could use somebody else, but it would certainly be recommended. We can certainly recommend that. And obviously, it sounds like they're interested in doing it. There's no problem if that is who LT Companies uses.
Another month, right?
What's that?
If we're rejecting it, we're putting it off for another month.
Probably more than that, even because you're going to be outside the time window to complete the project.
I mean, the bottom line is we're going to get a company do our baseball infield that does baseball infields at the highest level and still keep it at the price that LT bid it at. So I don't know how it works out. That's above my pay grade.
Is LT good with that? You said.
Is LT what?
Are they good with?
He told me that when he talked to Tony Brown this afternoon, that he was very comfortable with that and liked the idea and wanted to work with him on it.
I don't know why they wouldn't be. I mean,
it's a win. It's a win-win. It's a win-win for everybody. You're still getting the project at the lowest bid. It's a win-win for us because we're getting one of the best in the country that builds baseball infields to do it at the lowest bid price, and it's a win for LT Company because they're new at doing this. I didn't want to be their guinea pig. They're new at building baseball infields, and it's a win to them that they can see how the process works from some of the best.
I'll make a motion to approve it, and hopefully everything you said comes true.
Motion by Mr. McCardle.
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith.
I got some more questions.
Yep.
More for Justin. We approve this. LT gets it with what they got up there, correct?
Right.
So they don't have to hire Dura Edge, correct?
Well, our understanding is that they had certain costs in there to have LT at least be on site to do the supervision. If there wouldn't be any changes to the cost that you see in here, if that's what the question is.
That I understand, but they could go back to having Dura Edge there and them doing the work because that's
nothing that we're approving here tonight would require Dura Edge to do the actual installation.
You're worried about what, Mr. Sabers, about Dura Edge not doing the project?
Unless they got something written, we don't know.
They don't. And he explained that, Casey. We don't. He said, "I'm calling you at 4:30." I talked to him from 3:30 to 4:30. They don't have anything written down. That's why it's all fresh. It's all new. It's a great thing. If it can work, it's a great thing for all of us.
And I will say, Dan, that even if that were to happen, and for some reason Dura Edge can't do the work themselves, if it's not installed correctly, we have other alternatives to be able to ensure that it does get installed correctly.
I understand. But this new part about them coming in and doing it, we're not legally. There's no requirement for that.
No, there would not be.
Just got to hope they're honest.
Joe?
Yeah, Joe, you look like you want to say something.
No, I agree with everything that's been said. There's nothing that says that they can't go back to not having Dura Edge do it, but they certainly could.
Yep.
Stephanie, let's talk about how we're going to pay for it because it's went up. Just so the public knows what we're doing. It's a lot of money.
Well, it's requesting an additional $25,000 from contingency above what the previous budget approved was. I'm trying to pull this back up now. So we currently have about $40,000 left in contingency. So I would just really caution you moving forward. We shouldn't be approving any projects that aren't in budget because you still have utility costs, things that'll go up at the end of the year. Of course, they might not use that full $25,000 that Joe's asking for. That's to increase the project contingency.
So, Mr. Johnson, where are they at with the dugout replacement? Like, if they started tearing up the infield, like it's too late, we can't turn back now?
No, the dugout project started a week ago Monday. They completely dug out the front part of the dugout. The back part of the dugout remains and will be part of the new dugout. And they have not run any trucks or tractors over the infield. It's all been on some plywood, and we had to cut down the pitching mound or the practice pitching mound in left field for them to get the vehicles in. But everything, so every vehicle that's been there has not been in the foul lines of it. So yes, the project is but it's not digging up a whole bunch. They haven't. It was supposed to start the first day after we got 2 inches of rain, and they didn't do that. So yeah, it's not beyond repair what has been done out there right now.
So when would the start date be then?
He told me that, and he had a job in some event in Korea, and that they would be able to start here like the second to third week of September and have it done within 10 or 12 days. And I know the guy from LT originally, and I had from what others had indicated, had thought this was longer than a 12-day process, but these guys know what they're doing, and they can knock it out pretty quick. And Minnesota Sod, who was the other bidder, would have been the same way. They could have done this project on their own without Durage, and they would have been the same type of thing to knock it out in 10 or 12 days. So it was never going to be a 3-week project for either Minnesota Sod or with Durage's help.
Okay. Further discussion? Would anyone else in the audience like to discuss this? Okay.
I guess in closing, I would just like to thank the city council for the work that you guys have done, for your contributions and how you've worked together with Mitchell Baseball and Dakota Wesleyan at Cadwell Park, going back to lights in 2001 to the backstop in 2005, the bathrooms in 2011, Drake Field like 3 or 4 years ago, the press box, and the new roof on Cadwell Park. You know, everything the city councils, this council, and the councils before have gone above and beyond the call of duty for helping us at Cadwell Park, and it is one of the reasons that we have hosted the state amateur tournament 31 out of the last 40 years. And have it back. We didn't have it this year, and have it back in 26 and 27, and want it back in 28, 29, and 30 also. So the fact that you have made these contributions has helped tremendously the opportunity for us to host these tournaments and bring the big event to Mitchell. So thank you for that.
And Jocko, I know you do so much for the state baseball tournament. I saw Kevin over there this week at Brandon, and I was over there too. They did a really nice job. They're nowhere close to Mitchell, though. We just put on an exceptional tournament, and again, they did a very nice job over there. They're totally new to it, and they really worked and put an effort in. But we've got this thing down to a science, and thank for you for all the time that you've put out there also.
Thank you. I know I did talk to somebody who tried to duplicate the onion burgers at the Exchange Club can, and they said that their duplication process wasn't very good. So it's not a real good idea to try to duplicate something that somebody else has made kind of famous. So yeah, and I haven't seen their numbers yet, and they charge $2 or more to get in. So when you see the numbers, they may not be as impressive as it might look at. But everybody that I talked to has come in the store and said, we've over there, and Brandon's done a nice job, but it's just not Mitchell. It's just not Cadwell Park. And I don't really know what all that means. It's just not. I think it's that we have everything so close in, and amateur baseball is a family reunion to see friends where you can just walk a little ways and you've covered everybody in the stand. So thank you for that. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's vote. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve setting the date for initiated measure establishing term limits for mayor and city council positions to the annual municipal election to be held on June 2nd, 2026, or scheduling a special election. Ms. Bathke.
Okay, petitions were turned in on this issue. There were 502 signatures needed and 560 were verified and filed. So we either need to place this on the annual election in June or pick a date prior than that on a Tuesday for a special election.
I'll make a motion to do it on June 2nd of 26.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Bathke, second by Mr. Goldhammer for June 2nd, 2026. Further discussion?
So, Justin, do you have the exact language that's going to be on the ballot? It is. This is the exact language.
Yeah, it was the very first one that was brought to council, I think, right?
Yep, it would have been one of the versions that was presented to council. So
Okay, and I think we shouldn't have a special election. I agree with that. But what's on the agenda here tonight under 157B, it says for implementation of term limits, all terms served by the past or sitting elected officials shall be considered, whether such terms are completed or pending. We have two people that would be term limited that is eligible to take a petition out next year.
right,
And if they win,
they would be able to serve that term because this would not go into effect until after they were elected.
that's your interpretation.
Yep, that is my opinion on it.
Because pending to me indicates that is for the future.
So the effect of this initiated measure, it can't overturn an election that's already taken place. So it can't limit their term that they were elected for.
Okay. And obviously anything can be litigated, because if this does get in place, then somebody could say that, well, it's Mr. Dosher and Mrs. Charks would be term limited if this was in place, if we did a special election and it got voted in. Then at that point in time, they could not run. Would that be a true statement?
If I'm following you correctly, yes, I believe that's
Yeah.
That's
So
correct.
in other words, if we had this election in November, just special election, or December,
Right.
just pick a date, and it got approved by the citizens, then in June, Mr. Dosher and Mrs. Charks could not run.
Right. If there was a special election and it was approved ahead of petitions being taken out and that election taking place, then they would not be able to they would not be able to run again unless they fell into the exceptions that were in there.
Okay.
But if the petitions are taken out and they run in that election before this becomes law, because this would not take effect until after it's voted on, and it wouldn't go into effect until that election had already taken place for those council members, they would not be term limited at the time that they were elected.
Okay. Any further discussion? That's a very good question. Would anyone in the audience like to discuss this? Just for setting the date? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve request for restricted parking on Capitol Street adjacent to the high school. Mr. Schrader.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, Council. Pitts Design Build representing the high school has requested areas of restricted parking on Capitol Street adjacent to the high school. Please see the attached map for the type of restricted parking requested and the locations. So that's up on the screen currently. Yellow is no parking. I believe green is 10, or was that 10? Green is 10-minute parking, and blue is bus parking. So with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to discuss this?
Any concerns from the traffic standpoint, Dean, or anybody? You're okay with this?
No, I don't see any problem with it. It's similar to what is currently there at the high school, just moving areas, I believe.
Yeah. Or Shannon, I will call on you now for the first time.
There are no issues with this.
Joe, I had someone reach out to me that lives in the area. Who paid for that? I'm not against the ramp, the bump like in front of the Corn Palace here. Who paid for that? Did the school pay for that, or did we pay for that?
Correct. The city has had no cost.
Okay,
with
that was
project.
his question. So.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve participation in Purdue settlement opioid litigation. Mr. Johnson.
All right. So the city has participated in the past in a number of settlements related to the opioid epidemic. This would be another settlement along those same lines. The city would eventually receive a certain amount of funds through the state as part of this, if it's approved by the court. At this point, we do need to decide whether we want to sign on to this one or not. My recommendation would be to participate in this one the same as we've done with the past ones. So with that, if there's any questions, I don't have a dollar amount to give you at this point. Those have not been finalized. So
I'll move to approve.
McCardle, second by Mr. Bathke. Further discussion?
There's no cost to the city in this, correct?
no, there's not.
Okay. Anyone in the audience like to discuss this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Agreement A 2025-49 Dispatch Communications Equipment and Maintenance with Two-Way Solutions. Mr. Knebel.
Mayor, City Council, Chief Kniplin. The Mitchell Regional 911 Center is looking to purchase new radio equipment for the paging and dispatching for the 6-county area that we serve, and enter into a 5-year contract for warranty and updates.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. McCardle.
Second.
Second by Mr. Goldhammer. Further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to discuss this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Agreement A 2025-50 Contribution in Aid and Service Line Agreement for new KVA service to blower building at WWTP with Central Electric. Mr. Schrader.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, Council, this agreement is with Central Electric, which will provide electric service to the South Wastewater Treatment Plant. Central Electric is charging the city $26,020.46 as a connection fee. The agreement states we shall take electric service for a minimum of 5 years. If the service is disconnected before the 5-year period, the city shall continue to pay the monthly minimum until the 5-year period has lapsed. Staff does recommend council approval of the agreement with Central Electric, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer.
Second.
Second by Mr. McCardle. Further questions? Discussions? Would anyone in the audience like to discuss this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Resolution R 2025-60 surplus and auction of trailer and shed in the 1100 and 1200 block of East First Avenue. Mr. Johnson.
All right. We've done several of these auctions at this point. So this one would be in relation to trailer number 11 and a shed marked as 111 within that 1100 and 1200 block area of the land that we purchased back in May. This one, the auction would be scheduled for September 3rd at 11 a.m. on site. So with that, we can open it up for questions.
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bathke. Further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to discuss this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Resolution R 2025-61 authorizing legal action in retaliation to Parkview leases. Mr. Johnson.
I will say in relation, not retaliation.
What did I say? Oh, sorry. In relation.
Just want to be clear on that.
Whoops.
So,
what a bad way to screw up. Okay.
So hopefully none of this will be necessary, but the purpose of this resolution would be to authorize that legal action in the case that we do have tenants that hold over after the end of the month here. As stated in the report and the resolution, there are a number of these that are ending here in August. The intention would be to get this action authorized so that if it's necessary, we can begin those proceedings as soon as possible and not have to wait for future council action on those. I know since the time of putting the resolution together, there have been a few more people that have moved out. There's people that have given us notice, so I don't have a specific number of, how many we might end up having to proceed on, but hopefully it's zero. At this point, it's still a couple.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Doc might have to call the vote
All right.
as president.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Motion passed.
Thank you.
You bet.
Action to approve Resolution R 2025-62, plot of Lot 1, Block 10, a subdivision of Block 4 of the Westwood First Edition. Mr. Jenigas.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this. This is in the area along Commerce Street, which you've seen previously. They're planning on another portion for a future business in that area. Answer any questions that you have.
Move to approve.
Second by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to discuss this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Hearing and second reading on Ordinance O 2025-10, amending Title 10 zoning regulations 10-6A-3, neighborhood shopping, conditional use permit, alcohol sales on sale. Mr. Jenigas.
Mr. Mayor and Council, since the first reading, I have not heard anything for or against this from anybody. If you recall, Planning Commission recommended approval of this. Unanimously, the mayor requested that this be brought forward as a conditional use instead of a permitted use, so that way if anybody does request to do this, it still have to go through the Board of Adjustment process, which takes a supermajority, which is 6 of 8 votes for that. I can answer any questions that you have.
Motion approved.
Mr. Sievers, second by Mr. Bathke. Further discussion? Would anyone in the audience like to discuss this? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion to move to adopt in a second. Okay. Anyone in the audience like to discuss this now? Okay, hearing none, we'll do a roll call.
Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldhammer.
Aye.
McCardle.
Aye.
Bathke.
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to enter into executive session according to SDCL 1-25-2 for negotiations and 3 legal.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer.
Second.
Second by Mr. McCardle. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. There will be no action after executive session.